does a dishwasher turn a dirty plate like this into a nice, clean, sparkly one like this? Do you know how a dishwasher works? Let's find out. How does it work?
A dishwasher.
To see what goes on inside, first we need to get all the clean dishes out. There we go. Now the dishwasher's empty, come and get a closer look at what's inside. Inside the door is a secret space. It's the soap dispenser. Just like you use soap to wash your hands, the dishes need soap to get clean too. And this is where your soap tablet or liquid soap goes. But what do you think we need to mix with the soap to get the dishes clean? Yes, you're right, it's water. But how does the water get inside? Water is pushed along this pipe here into this. It's called a spray arm. And there's one at the bottom and one at the top. It's these little holes here all the way along that spray out the water. It's a bit like a big spinning shower. Let's discover how this dishwasher works. When the dishwasher is full of dirty pots and pans and the door is closed, we press the start button and the machinery inside springs into action. First, water starts pouring in through a little spout at the bottom. To get the dishes nice and clean, the water needs to be hot. So it's heated up by this. It's called the heating element, and as it gets hot, all the water around it gets hot too. Then it's time for some soap. You might hear that clunk noise if you listen really carefully outside a dishwasher. The soap mixes in with the water and then it's pushed through a pipe to the spray arms. As the water is sprayed at the dishes really fast, all the bits of food are washed off. The dirty water is drained away and fresh water comes in to give everything a good rinse. Like washing shampoo out of your hair. Once all the water has gone again, the clean dishes are dried with hot air. I don't know about you, but I want to see all of that happening for myself. It would be very dangerous to climb inside or put our hands in, but I've got a way to see what happens inside the dishwasher when the dishes are being washed. How does a cake work? Let's find out. How does it work?
A cake.
To show you how a cake works, I'm going to bake a cake for the party. Now I need to mix all of our ingredients together in a big bowl. In goes the sugar with the flour, and then the butter. And now for the fun bit, cracking the eggs. And the milk. Oh, and we mustn't forget this. This is called baking powder, and it's a special ingredient that will make sure our cake rises in the oven. Now we need to mix all our ingredients together. And for that, we need an electric whisk. Watch this. Because it works really quickly, it's going to put lots of air bubbles into the mix. Listen to the sound of the electric whisk. It's like an aeroplane taking off. Okay, have a look in my bowl now. Can you see that all of the different ingredients have been mixed together into a smooth, runny mixture? I'm just pouring our mixture into 2 cake moulds ready to go into a hot oven. The oven is hot. You should never go near a hot oven yourself. Always ask a grown-up to do it. When cake mix goes into a hot oven, it starts to bake. It will rise and get bigger and bigger and turn into a tasty sponge. But to find out how, we need to get a closer look. When the ingredients are mixed together, they start to change. This is called a chemical reaction. First, the baking powder and the milk start to react together, making bubbles of air. The air bubbles are surrounded by a layer of fat from the butter, which traps them inside the mixture. Then, when the mixture goes into the oven, the hot air inside makes the egg whites surround each bubble and go hard. This protects the bubbles so that they don't burst. As the mixture heats up more, the trapped air bubbles start to get bigger. As they grow, the flour in the mixture around them starts to stretch. It stretches and stretches until it can't stretch anymore. And by then, the cake is ready. But what about the bread? Do you know how bread is made? Let's find out. How is it made?
Bread.
This is a bakery. There are lots of different types of bread made here, and the main ingredient is flour. So I've come to a mill, and here they make flour. But this flour here is made from a plant that's grown on farms. It's called wheat. And this is called an ear of wheat. Inside this bit at the top, we find some grains. And these grains are taken into the mill to be turned into flour. First, the grains are crushed by rollers into smaller pieces. This is called milling. Next, the milled grains go through this strange-looking machine. It's called a sifter. It works a little bit like a sieve you might have at home, only this one is a giant wobbly box. It gets rid of all of the rough bits and leaves only the soft flour. And here we have the finished flour straight from the sifter. It's lovely, light and soft. The flour is loaded into a lorry called a tanker through this big yellow tube. And then it'll be driven off to the bakery, ready to be turned into a loaf of bread. And this is the bakery. The tanker is offloading the flour into these enormous containers called silos. There are smaller silos which contain the other ingredients: salt mixed with water, vegetable fat and yeast. Do you know what yeast is? Well, it's a special ingredient that helps make bread rise. It works best when it's kept nice and warm. All of the main ingredients come into the bakery through pipes in the ceiling, and then they go to a giant mixer. Look at that! A huge ball of bread dough just plops out. That would make one enormous loaf of bread, wouldn't it? The dough goes into this machine to be divided. Each chunk makes one loaf. If you've ever made bread at home, you'll know you have to do something called kneading. And kneading is when you use the heel of your hand to press and stretch the dough. It makes it stretchy and elastic, which helps the bread to rise.